Anytime you're woodworking, you need to accommodate for wood movement. Wood is hygroscopic. It likes to take in water, and how much water it absorbs is based on what it's being exposed to. So in the air, it's the relative humidity that's affecting how much the wood absorbs moisture. And as it absorbs moisture, it expands. So the three things you need to know to plan for that is how dry can it get, how wet will it get, and what is the water content right now. So on this wood, what we're going to use as a baseline is kind of a worst case scenario, like in New England. It wouldn't be unusual to get down as much as 6% water content and as high as 16. Those are pretty extreme swings there, worst case scenario. So we're going to use that as our how bad and how dry and how wet it can get. Then the next thing we need to know is how dry it is right now, and that's why you need a moisture meter. So I'm using this little Wagner moisture meter, and I'm just going to measure it where I can reach it off camera, and it's 9.8%. So that's the number we're going to use. Right now it's 9.8. So how much more water it's going to hold is about 6.2% from 9.8 to 16. So using this little chart here, we can actually figure out how much that wood's going to move. So this wood was cut from plain sawn wood, which is the most movement you're going to see. But to our benefit, it's oriented 90 degrees to that. So we're actually looking at quarter sawn wood grain in the direction that we're worried about. So in this case, we have 17 inches of quarter sawn wood. So on here, if you pull up the species that you're using, in this case it's black cherry, you have a setting for the plain sawn or tangential and also the radial quarter sawn wood. So we're working with quarter sawn. So this magic number right here, 0.0013 is what we need to know. So let's figure this out. 0.0013 times the width of the board, which is 17, times that the change in humidity. In this case, it's going to be a positive 6.2, and that's 0.137 inches. So if I set up this thing 0.317, let's see what that is. All right. So at the end of this board, if you see how much, like right now it's 0.3, a little bit bigger than that, but you can see that that's bigger. That's a bigger gap than I have available. So what's going to happen in this thing, if this were sitting in someplace very humid, this wood would expand to the point that not only did it stop working, but eventually it'll break. Probably one or both of the ends would break off because the wood is going to move, whether you like it or not. So I'm going to need to take, I still want a little bit of play. Right now it's about a 1/16 of an inch. So I could take that number of 0.31137 and I could divide that by the number of pieces, which is 21, and 0.006. So if I removed 6.5 thousandths of an inch from each piece, I'll end up with a big old gap in the end here that will never close up in the summer, but it'll be too loose in the winter. So there's a fix for that so that it doesn't jam in the summer and it doesn't flop apart in the winter. And that's the next step. I'm going to show you how I deal with that right now. So I did a brain surgeon move in the frame, this first tread and this last tread, which is also the support, need to have the same cut on the top. And this one I can take off and still make that cut. This one here, the brain surgeon move, is that I got a shaft that's glued in it right now. So this one I'm going to have to cut by hand. But either way, I'll get that done. But this is the piece that we have to do the work to accommodate wood movement. So let me get that apart. All right. Okay. This is the piece we got to modify. This is the end piece. On the top, you can see I have little lines. This has to be cut with that same cut that the others have. And I'm doing that on this jig, which is tapered at the angle that I want. I have a stop block in there so I can put pieces in there and clamp them in place where I need it. I'm going to be using a router with a pattern bit, a shallow pattern bit, to follow the shape of this template and get this cut. So there we go. Now I've got this cut made, and it's not even close to being centered. What the hell, Larry? That's better. Okay, now let's get this thing onto the CNC router. So here it is, put back together after planing. I've got it tightened down at this end so I can see what kind of, okay, 165. I needed 137, so That's going to be good. I'll loosen this up and we'll turn this thing on. So the way I adjust this is I turn the screw until it binds and then just back off half a turn. And that'll keep it happy. So it'll run now, and come next summer, it'll also work.